We are fast approaching December 10th, which is when all the Cold War weapons get moved over into Warzone, but this video is going to go over the top 10 best guns inside Warzone at the moment. If you enjoy videos like this and you want to see more, subscribe to the channel as we have plenty more videos planned over the coming days and weeks. On top of that, we want to reach our goal of 50 likes on this video and our end goal for the year of 5,000 subscribers, so if you can help us achieve those two goals, that'd be great. Before we get into the top 10 list, you might not agree with all of the guns in this list, so leave us a comment down below with your favourite guns and we'll be sure to read through them. Starting off this list at number 10, we have the M13. The M13 is one of the most underrated guns in this game and has been underrated for quite some time now, but this is one of the most accurate guns and very easy to use for beginners. You can easily beam targets at far distances with the M13, but in terms of attachments, we've got the monolithic suppressor, which we all know is one of the most important suppressors or important attachments overall for Warzone. Then we have the Tempest marksman barrel, which increases that damage range. Then we're using the VLK optic just to make sure you can beam enemies at those far distances. We then have the 60 round mag attachment, which is also very important, especially inside Warzone, and with the kind of damage profile this gun has, you do need those extra bullets to finish off your opponents. And then finally we finish it off with a commando foregrip, which gives better recoil stabilization. This build is one of the best guns for long range, and it always gets overshined by other guns at the moment, but I feel like the M13 is a great beginner's gun, so if you're new to Warzone, this is the gun I'd recommend. At number 9, we have another really good gun for beginners. Now, that's not to say that anyone who's at a good skill level can't use the MP7, because they also can. The MP7 is a fantastic gun I still love using. This gun is great at those close and also medium range gunfights, but with the MP7, this is great at beaming enemies at medium range and is great to pair with a sniper rifle. For attachments, we go for the monolithic suppressor as your muzzle, which is no surprise there. That is just the best attachment inside the muzzle category. For barrel, we've got the FSS Recon barrel, which extends your damage range, your bullet velocity, and also helps with recoil control. We then for underbarrel went for the Merc foregrip, which helps a little bit more with that vertical recoil. On top of that, it also gives you better hipfire accuracy, especially with those close quarters gunfights. We then go for the 60 round mags because I guess why not, and 60 rounds is plenty that you'll need for Warzone. And then I went for sleight of hand for a faster reload. You could change this for a 5mm laser or a tac laser, which is also great options too. Overall, the MP7 is a great weapon that everyone should be using. It's a good balance between close range and medium range, but it doesn't have that time to kill potential with some of the other guns in this game. But other than that, this is a beamer of a gun. At number 8, we have the best sniper rifle in the game, and that is the HDR. The HDR has the fastest bullet velocity, as well as the longest possible damage range out of all the sniper rifles, as well as marksman rifles in the game. In terms of attachments, you want to go for the monolithic suppressor, there's no surprise there, and then that gives you sound suppression as well as longer damage range. You then want to go for the 26.9 HDR Pro barrel, and this gives you the longest possible damage range, a bit of recoil control, and the fastest bullet velocity. Then you want to go for the tac laser for a faster aim down sight time. This is very important, especially when trying to quick scope enemies, or even just scoping down sights in general, as scoping down sights without the tac laser takes quite a long time. Again, we went for the FTAC Stalker Scout stock, and that is to do the exact same thing. It gives you a faster ADS time. And lastly, we went for the sleight of hand perk instead of extended mags, because this gives you no cons and it gives you faster reload times. If you're trying to snipe and pick off enemies at those far distances, the HDR is the only sniper rifle you should be using at over 100 meters. I say over 100 meters because at number 7, we have the Kar 98. The Kar 98 has risen to the top in terms of marksman rifles, and it's been one of the best guns in the game for quite a lot of players. It's a very aggressive sniper rifle like gun because you do get that one hit headshot potential, and it does aim down sights much quicker than a lot of the other sniper rifles in the game. So to start off the attachment list, again we have the monolithic suppressor. We then had the Singuard's custom 27.6 inch barrel for the longest possible damage range as well as bullet velocity, and again this is very important, especially inside Warzone where most of your gunfights are going to be at long distances. You then want to be using the sniper scope to make sure you can see those enemies at those further distances as well. And it's very important to customize your reticle for this gun and change it to something that you'd actually like using. There's a lot of options for the sniper scope. I personally prefer the first two reticles you unlock instead of the original one. I just think it's way easier to see your enemies. We then went for the sport chrome stock, which gives you a faster aim down sight speed, and then also the stipple grip tape, which does the same thing, but also gives you a faster sprint to fire speed, which is very important if you're going to be very aggressive with this gun. And that's what this gun does the best, aggressive sniping. If you're sniping at below 100 meters, this is the only gun you should be using. It aims down sights the quickest. At number 6, we have a gun that has actually only gotten popular recently, even though I've been using it for a while, and a lot of other players have been using this gun for quite a long time, but only now people have started using the Ram 7. The Ram 7 is a great competitor to the M4, and I think it's one of the best guns in the game, and I've thought this for a while. In terms of attachments, you want to use the monolithic suppressor again, which is no surprise there. You then want to use the FSS Ranger barrel, which is the longest possible barrel, which gives you further damage range as well as bullet velocity and recoil control, which is very important. Then we use the VLK optic. You can also use one of the hollow sights in this case as well if you have the blue dot unlocked. You do definitely need that 50 round mags on there as well, which is very important with this gun because you can burn through bullets really quickly. I personally would have liked if they had a 60 round mag option. I feel like that would have been very useful for this gun without making it overpowered. And then lastly, you want to use the Commando foregrip. Now you could also use the Merc foregrip here as well if you struggle with that vertical recoil control. But I think it's very important to stabilize that horizontal recoil a bit more. So that's why I would go for the Commando foregrip. If you can manage that leftwards drifting recoil and also change some of the attachments about, you can also make this a very good medium range gun as well. There is a reason why a lot of popular streamers use this gun, and that's just because it kills so quickly. Moving on to the opposite of the Ram 7, we have the M4A1. This is probably the most reliable gun in the whole entire game. I mean, the M4A1 is a no-brainer for anyone picking up this game for the first time, or anyone playing this game for a long time. The M4A1 is a great gun that's got a good balance between time to kill, recoil, and damage range. And of course, in terms of attachments, you want the monolithic suppressor again. In terms of barrel, you've got two great options. If you want a slightly closer range option, you can go for the Corvus custom barrel, or you can go for the M16 Grenadier barrel, which gives you the longest possible damage range as well as bullet velocity. Personally, I prefer the Corvus Marksman because you can use it in those medium range gunfights and it's a bit snappier. Then you want to use the Commando foregrip to help you stabilize that recoil again. 60 round mags because this is a must, especially inside Warzone. And lastly, I go for sleight of hand, but you could use a stipple grip tape or the rubberized grip tape. But I prefer a faster reload, especially the way I play Warzone. I rush a lot of fights and I don't want to get caught out reloading all that often. There's a reason why you see a mixture of players using this gun. You'll see beginners use it. You'll also see pro players use it as well. And that's because it's so reliable. Even when all the nerfs happen, the M4 is not a weapon that takes a hit. And that means it's always going to stay the same and be consistent. But unfortunately, it's not as good as the top 4 weapons inside of this game. But before we get into that, if you're enjoying this video so far, drop this video a like and also subscribe to the channel. So at number 4, we actually have the MP5. Now the MP5 has been at the top of the Warzone list for such a long time. And it's still at the top, but there's some guns that are slightly more overpowered than this. But in terms of attachments, we've got the monolithic integral suppressor, which is the best possible attachment to extend the damage range as well as suppress your weapon. We then use the Merc foregrip to give you better hipfire accuracy and vertical recoil control. And then we've got the 45 round mags, which gives you enough bullets you need to take out multiple enemies. We then got sleight of hand on here, but you can swap this out for a 5mm laser, a tac laser, or even the stipple grip tape. And lastly, you want to add on that F-tac collapsible stock to make sure you can move around really quick. The MP5 is not only a great gun for taking on multiple enemies inside buildings or in close quarters fights, but it also allows you to move around the map so quickly. When you switch to an AR, you don't actually realize how fast you're actually moving with the MP5. Moving on to number 3, we have one of the most annoying guns in the game at the current moment, which is the R90 Dragon's Breath shotgun. And we'll just quickly go through the attachments first and then discuss why everyone likes this gun and also hates this gun at the exact same time. So you want to use the choke for the muzzle to tighten that pellet spread to make sure you're landing all of your shots. The Forge Tac Sentry does the exact same thing as well, so you want to make sure you're using that. You then want to use the 5mm laser to make sure all your hip-fire bullets have the tightest spread available. You then can use the stippled grip tape for a faster aim down sight time as well as sprint to fire time, but I've also found that I do like using sleight of hand as well, because this gun loads in each bullet at a time and you want to make sure that you can reload quick enough to re-engage in a gunfight, especially at close range. And finally, you want to use the main attachment, which is the Dragon's Breath round ammunition. The reason why this gun is so good is because it has the fastest time to kill at close range at around about 200 milliseconds, which is the fastest in the game, even faster than the MP5. Not only that, it's so easy to use because you don't need to aim down sights with this class setup. And on top of that, if an enemy is not using EOD, you can kill them with 2 shots even at a distance, and then your fire breath rounds will actually finish them off. But at the moment, this is the best close range weapon you can get inside Warzone. At second place, we have an assault rifle, which is the CR56 AMAX. Now, when this gun first came out, I believed it to be one of the better guns at that point, but now it's definitely risen to the top of the meta inside Warzone. And in terms of attachments, you want the monolithic suppressor, the Zodiac barrel, which is the longest possible barrel, extending out that damage range, as well as bullet velocity. You can then use the VLK optic, but you can also go for the Corp Combat Hollow Sight as well, which a lot of people do like to use. You then want to use the 45 round mags, and then lastly you can use the Commando foregrip, or the Ranger foregrip also works well in this case too. The CR56 AMAX does have a difficult recoil pattern to master, but once you get it down, this gun kills the quickest that any gun kills at long range. The CR56 AMAX beams enemies at those longer ranges, especially if you can control the recoil. Last but not least, at number 1, we have the easiest to use assault rifle in the entire game, which is the Kilo. Now, the Kilo has been one of the best guns in the game for a while now, especially since that old Grau got nerfed, and this has taken its spot as the easiest to control gun inside the whole of Warzone. So what you want to use is the mono suppressor, which you need to use for every gun at this point. The Singard Arms Prowler barrel, which is the longest barrel for this gun, so again you extend that damage range as well as bullet velocity. Again, for optic you can choose the VLK 3 times, or you can go for the Corp Combat Hollow, or any other optic you prefer. The optic's really personal preference here, but I prefer the VLK. You can use the 60 round mags as well. The 60 round mags is a great option. I've seen a lot of players use the 100 round mags and still do pretty well with it, but it does slow down your movement speed quite a lot. And another attachment that I've found that you can actually switch out for something else is the Commando foregrip. Now, this is for sure the meta build, but the recoil in the Kilo is so low that you can actually switch out the Commando foregrip for either sleight of hand or another attachment that you prefer. Like I said, the Kilo is one of the easiest guns to use in this game, and for any beginner, it just kind of makes sense as well because it's the first gun you get to use. So once you've leveled it up fully, this is the attachment combinations you should be using. So there you have it, the top 10 best guns currently in Warzone. Now this list is obviously going to change on December 10th, and we're all waiting eagerly to see what gun takes the meta then, and we'll be sure to make a new video updating you on that. But for now, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave us a like. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new, as we've got tons more content planned over the coming days and weeks. And thank you very much for watching.